We begin first at 4 with breaking news. You know and love him for the many, many years that he spent at the Columbus Zoo. Tonight, we've learned that Jungle Jack Hanna has Alzheimer's. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. First at 4, I'm Darlene Hill.
And I'm Brad Johansson. Jungle Jack was one of Central Ohio's most recognizable faces. And today, we will bring you team coverage. Alan Henry is going to join us in a moment with how the community is reacting to this news.
But first, we're joined with our very own Colleen Marshall, who's done so many stories with Jungle Jack, of course.
I've known him. The very first series I did after coming here in 1984 was a series on the zoo with Jack Hanna. Went with him to the Letterman show the first time he was there. He was one of the first big interviews I got in Columbus. Know him and love him. And the letter is heartfelt and heartbreaking. Signed by Hanna's daughters, Suzanne, Julie, and Kathleen. They reveal that their father's condition has progressed quickly in the last few months, and he simply can no longer participate in the public life that he was used to. And of course, Hanna was the central figure in the tremendous growth, not only in the size of the zoo, but in its international reputation for conservation and wildlife education. It is routinely ranked as one of the top zoos in the world, and all of that can be traced to his tireless work connecting animals and the zoo with the community. In the letter, his daughters say, while Dad's health has deteriorated quickly, we can assure you that his great sense of humor continues to shine through. And yes, he still wears his khakis at home. And the statement goes on to say, we are grateful that the many hearts he's touched over the years are with him during this journey, which gives us strength. They say their mother, Susie, who's been married to Jack for 53 years, continues to be a rock for their family. And while they are going public with the Alzheimer's diagnosis for the first time, those who were around Jack knew there was something going on. At Zufari nearly 2 years ago, I noticed he was having trouble recognizing old friends. He seemed lost in some of the conversation. I talked privately about all of it with my good friend Vince McGrail, the CEO at the Alzheimer's Association. I just talked with him, and we'll have more from him coming up at 5. But for a few years, and insiders at the zoo I've talked to privately, they knew something was going on. His memory, he seemed confused and lost in conversations. And people who knew him at the time at Zufari 2 years ago, I was in an area where there were a lot of donors to the zoo, and I was having a conversation with him. And when people would come up, then the news director, Tom Stolf, who just resigned last week, would step up and remind him who they were. And the people would be like, why are you reminding him who I am? Wow. I've known him for years. And I said to my husband that night, I think Jack's getting Alzheimer's.
So stop there. Let's talk a little bit about the timing in all of this, because the Columbus Zoo has been in the headlines now for a couple of weeks with the CEO and the CFO. Has nothing to do with Jungle Jack. But what about the timing on this? I think, and this is my speculation only, but I can assume that a lot of people were reaching out to Jack to do interviews, to talk about what was happening right now with this zoo that he helped build, this zoo that he loves, that the people who were left in charge when he was gone might be involved in this scandal. And I think the family thought, we've got to come forward now and say, this is the reason that Jack can't be talking to you right now. He's not able to do that anymore. And let's separate him from the zoo.
Right.
All right, Colleen, thank you so much. We'll see you again at the top of the 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, you'll hear from Vince, and we pulled some sound from Jack from the past.
And the Letterman stuff. I can't wait to see that too.
Colleen, thank you. All right. Many of Jungle Jack's fans, they are sharing their well wishes following today's announcements. NBC4's Alan Henry continuing our team coverage tonight. He's live at the Columbus Zoo. Alan, I'm assuming there's some emotion with visitors there today.
Well, that's right, Brad. Obviously, a lot of shock and sadness from people visiting the zoo here today. All of them telling me about the role that Jungle Jack Hanna played in their lives. Now, whether it was through their TV screens in their living rooms or coming to a show here at the zoo, people here tell me it was always a thrill whenever they got to see Jungle Jack Hanna. And several people I spoke to say if it wasn't for Jungle Jack, they would have never visited the zoo, and it wouldn't be the place it's grown into today. They say they're proud to have such an impressive place to visit in their own backyards, and that Jungle Jack Hanna called it home.
Seemed like I've watched him for the last 30 years or more, and he really taught me a lot about all the animals and things, and all the education he gives everybody is just priceless. I mean, it's going to be sad to see him go. I really enjoyed him, listening to him and seeing everything he has to teach everybody.
Of course, it should go without saying, but everyone I spoke to out here today is sending their well wishes to Jungle Jack and the entire Hanna family. Local for you at the Columbus Zoo, Alan Henry, NBC4.
Alan, thanks so much. If you head to NBC4i.com, you hover over the Local for You tab, you can find a link to A Journey Through Alzheimer's. It's an in-depth discussion on dementia and Alzheimer's with experts, personal stories from families, and even a test to help detect early signs.